Thank you to this committee for taking the time to hear our concerns. The masking bylaw has created an environment where singling out and discriminating against disabled people is now considered normal. This has set back all the work that has been done in the previous century towards creating equal acceptance and equal opportunity for disabled people. This bylaw has encouraged business management to police their own customers, even though the bylaw states that businesses are not expected to enforce the bylaw. I have been refused service and have also been asked to wait outside for service. Indigo Books in West Edmonton Mall called security on me within seconds of me entering the store. A friend of mine with very limited lung capacity, who has been on a ventilator machine and was nearly killed by it, and who walks with a cane, was refused service at Indigo Books as well. Security was also called on him even after he presented a note from his doctor, which they had no right to see. My wife and children were kicked out of the Edmonton Public Library because they claimed that people with exemptions were only allowed in the library for a maximum of 5 minutes. This same library branch did the same thing to me the very next day, but went even further and called security on me as I sat quietly reading at a table. Little did they know that I was live streaming the event on Facebook to thousands of people. This was responded to by the board of the library appropriately, and I received an apology within 24 hours, and it also caused the Edmonton Public Library to clarify their policies and retrain their staff. If the city's own organizations do not understand the bylaw, even with all of their full-time lawyers, how can small businesses be expected to keep pace? I spoke with Andrew Knack. He told me his own father is mask exempt and has had very few problems. I would say to Andrew Knack that even one problem is one too many. This morning we have listened to this committee go on and on about making Edmonton safe for women, yet you completely ignore the needs of the disabled people. This is an atrocity for which you should all be ashamed of. This council has millions of dollars to spend on changing speed limit signs, hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide car chargers for rich people, billions on an LRT that will only slow the ability of Edmontonians to commute, yet no funding has been available to educate businesses on the implementation of this mask bylaw. Another important aspect of this bylaw is the fact that masks and face coverings have not been approved for use by any legitimate governing body like Occupational Health and Safety. N95 respirators or P100 respirators have been tested and proven to be fit for purpose. Unfortunately, that purpose was never for infectious viruses. And as that video showed, they were culturing bacteria, not viruses. As far as I'm concerned, that video you showed was completely irrelevant. It is a fact that masks or respirators may impede a person's breathing to the point that their blood oxygen levels become too low to support consciousness. A personal friend, Lena Barr, wore a mask at Walmart about 10 weeks ago before they were legislated by her city. She blacked out, hit her head, and is now suffering with a lifelong traumatic brain injury. Her speech is now slurred, and it sounds as if she has an accent and a hearing impairment. She spent all last weekend in hospital, suffering from cascading seizures. She has 2 young children. Her life, as she knew it, is over. If she had been employed in a workplace that required a respirator, she would have been fit tested and undergone a medical screening to ensure that she was capable of wearing a respirator. To force these pieces of equipment on the public without adequate training and screening is nothing short of criminal negligence. Many people are suffering headaches. Dentists are reporting an increase in gum disease caused by mouth breathing. Optometrists are seeing more eye infections and tear duct infections. The masks have caused many skin issues as well. Will this council be responsible for the trauma they have caused? Will these victims be compensated for your negligence? You have already achieved 97% compliance. Most people seem to believe in masking. So why not just make it completely voluntary as opposed to this voluntarily mandatory bylaw? One last thing. Premier Kenney has emphasized over and over again how the province has not mandated masking. Dr. Hinshaw has recommended masks, but does not require them. If Dr. Sikora works under Dr. Hinshaw, his recommendation to mandate masking is contrary to the intent of his boss, Dr. Hinshaw. How can this representative of the government of Alberta defy the recommendations of his employer? Thank you very much.
Okay, going once, going twice. Anthony Mayfield.